I'm Sarah, otherwise known as Yarnmugs on Instagram and Ravelry. Welcome to my podcast where I chat about my knitting, crochet, sewing and books I've been reading. It's only been 2 weeks since my last podcast and I was keen to come on sooner. My last podcast I was a little bit flat and I'm feeling much better, so I felt like I wanted to come back and do a bit more of a cheerful podcast. Thank you for all your lovely messages. It seems like lots of you are feeling the same, and you all gave me some lovely ideas about how to cheer myself up or make me feel good about the projects that I'm working on. I also want to say thank you to Barbara for your very generous Ko-fi donation and mention to treat myself to some flowers. That was really, really sweet of you. But I'm feeling absolutely fine, and I think that was made better by starting a couple of new things and working on something that I was really enjoying. So I've turned the camera around a little bit because it is really, really sunny, and I've got my scarf on or my shawl on because it was really grey and rainy earlier, but I might have to take this off soon. I might as well show you what I'm wearing now. This is the History of Trees shawl. Oh, it's such a lovely crochet pattern. I get lots of compliments on this shawl and I'd love to make another. In fact, I am going to... Should I take it off? I'm going to take it off because I am quite hot. And I'll just show you what it's like spread out. So it's an asymmetric shawl with various... that's like a tree motif. They're meant to be like trees. There's some lovely yarns in there. But yeah, it's a really lovely shawl, and I really love these golden mustardy colours. But I will take it off because I am a bit hot. And underneath I'm wearing my plum dress, which I've worn loads and chatted about loads, and it was a happy mistake making this pattern. Okay, so let's chat about the things that I've been working on and that I've been really enjoying in the last couple of weeks. So I've shown you several times now my Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart from Curious Handmade, using my Beehive Yarn advent calendar, and I'm now into the winter colours. Oh, and I'm really loving it. Let me just, it's too big to be able to show you. So you can see the spring, summer, autumn, and now these ones are the beginning of winter. And then I've just got 4 green colours to add. I think I might have shown you these last time. Yeah, so I've just got to add these 4, and then I will be working on my decreases to turn the triangle into a square or rectangle. It's so lovely, so rich, those colours. Really beautiful pattern. And again, I don't really know how I'm going to be using it, whether it will be like a scarf or whether it will just be a mini blanket, but it's really lovely. I like folding it in half and then you can really get to see all the lovely colours, especially these autumn ones. They've been lovely, but that's been a lovely, really nice project to work on, and it's in my really beautiful bag by Emma from Eldon Woodcraft, in grey with all nature pictures. It's really lovely. So yeah, I've been enjoying working on that. I then started a new project, and I think I probably mentioned this last time as a way of self-help and making myself feel better, but I started another Just Feel Better shawl by Kalisha Ryan. I think this might be my 4th, 1, 2, 3, yeah, this will be my 4th one. I'm using this yarn Yarnmixology in Bramble Bush, and it's a gradient yarn. And I've used these a few times, but this particular one is, I don't know if I can really show it, hard to show. It's 4 strands, and currently I've got 2 strands which are I don't know how, it's too bright over there, isn't it? 2 strands are lighter mauve and 2 are brighter, and that's how the fade or how the ombre happens. Every now and again one of the strands becomes a different colour. So this is my progress so far, and again it's probably a bit hard to tell because it's quite subtle, but that's the beginning bit where you can see just one strand of this lighter, and now I've moved on to this one where there are 2 strands of the lighter. But it's a really lovely pattern, really easy. It's a 6-row repeat, but it's very well, you can sort of see it there, can't you? Just again, really subtle line, making that lighter and this a bit darker. But it ends up being a lovely big shawl, and I think I'm probably going to make this for a friend. But I thought they looked lovely together, the pink and the turquoisey green. And I bought this at the Waltham Abbey Wool Show. It's recommending a size or a hook size 3 to 4, and I'm using a 4. And it's 1,000 meters, and I think it is cotton acrylic. I haven't got the percentages. And it's nice to work with, although like I say, sometimes you have to just be really careful that you get all of the 4 yarns. I've sometimes split it and have to just pull it back a little bit. But yeah, that's a really lovely, cheerful project to work on. Last time as well I showed you those hats that I made my dad, and I took them round to him, and in fact they were both a little bit big. So the darker navy one that I really loved for myself, I think I might be having that one back, and so I'm in the process of making him another one. So at the moment I'm just on the rib, and for anyone that didn't watch last time, this is 2 strands held together. It's the Knitting Shed Slubby Sock, which they don't do anymore, and Cascade Heritage in a navy colourway, and it's creating this lovely rib with the flecks of the blue and the slubby bits. And what I did, my dad had a shop bought hat which he really likes and fits well, and I just measured parts of that, and that has got a folded brim which if unfolded measures 6 inches. So that's what I'm doing at the minute. I'm going to make the brim 6 inches so he can fold it up if he wants, and then I've measured how long till the crown of the head, and I'm hoping that will give me enough. I also said last time, because I was worried that my dad had a big head, and in fact he probably hasn't got a big head, but the pattern suggests casting on 108 stitches and I cast on 120. So what I've done is I've just reverted back to the pattern. I'm using the same hook, needle size, which are 4.5 for the rib and 5.5 for the head, but I've done 108. So hopefully that will make it a bit tighter for my dad, but will still be the same nice kind of fabric. And then I'll end up with a hat for myself. The hat that I made bigger, because I was worried, he probably will keep it and probably wear that one in bed because it's a bit looser, and he does like pulling it over his eyes and his nose if he's a bit cold at night. So yeah, so he'll end up still with 2 hats, one that fits him a bit better, one that's a bit big, and I'll end up with a hat for myself. And I just wanted to show you what I was putting this little hat project in. I bought myself this lovely, it is actually a pencil case, and it's from So Raimi, the lovely Rachel. I've been loving her projects that she's been making in her shop, but this particular, I just thought, oh how lovely, I love a bit of gingham, and it's a perfect little size for a small project like a hat. So check out Rachel. I'll link everything down below, everything I talk about. But yeah, her things are beautiful. I'll put that away in a minute. And in fact, so beautiful that I recently treated myself to this lovely pouch. So everything, all the materials are just so lovely. This really reminds me of my childhood in the 70s. There's lots of room, a couple of pockets. And I've pinned on here my lovely little pin from Ali. You are a little drop of wonderful. So yeah, isn't that lovely? So yeah, go check out Rachel and her lovely shop. She's got some really beautiful things. Hold on. Can you? It's okay. Leave the door because it's so hot. Sorry about that. Yeah, so really beautiful things, and that brings you a bit of joy, doesn't it, when you're making a lovely project but using lovely things to store them in. And what else? So the Habitation, Just Feel Better shawl, my dad's hat. And I've also gone back to working on my Granny Go Round jumper. So this is a jumper by Iron Lamb, which I started late last year in the winter. So I do remember thinking this is really hard to work on because it's in black yarn. And again, with this sun, I don't really know how much you're going to be able to see. Well, yeah, you can really see the pops of colour there. So this is in the colour Liquorice. It's King Cole Tweed, and it's acrylic and viscose. These were £3 a ball, and I bought 4 balls, 100-gram balls. And when I picked this up the other day, I'd only done 11 rounds, and so I had to get to round 19 to separate for the sleeves, which I've done now. I've separated for the sleeves. I thought I might just pop it on and show you, because I'm wondering if it's a little bit too big. So with this pattern, you cast on the neck edge, but then you have to add a bit of rib to it afterwards. And so it fits nice over the bust, but you can see it's poking out there at the back. And what I'm wondering is if I might need to decrease it a little bit to bring it in a bit so it's not so big, because I do have a tendency to make things that end up being too big. But I'm really happy with, if I was to wear it with this black dress, that would be lovely, but I need it just to be a bit longer. But yeah, I am a bit worried. It might be all right, but in fact, once it starts growing, it might, hang a bit better. What I really want is for the length to be right, and then I'll make the sleeves however much yarn I've got left. And in fact, I don't mind if they end up being short sleeves, because I would wear this black top underneath. Or if I've got enough yarn, because I've literally used 2 balls so far, and I've got 2 whole balls left. So I think that might be 1 ball, and then 1 ball can be split for the sleeves. I don't know if, again, with this sunlight, can you see how lovely all those different flecks? I'm hoping when I watch this video back, it's not really too blown out. But yeah, it's a lovely make. And it's got one of my favourite crochet stitches for the rib and for the neck. It's the front and back post trebles, which I absolutely love and can't wait to be doing that part. But yeah, it's really lovely. Crochet often looks quite stiff, but it's not too, there is a bit of movement. It is quite light. But I thought I would stop at that point where I've finished the second ball, just to see what you think, whether I might need to just decrease it a little bit, just to bring it in a bit. But yeah, that's been a lovely project. In fact, that's probably not far off being finished. So there are all the things I've been working on. I thought I'd have a quick chat about books that I've been reading. I've literally finished one this morning, and it was Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. And I think I might have touched on this in my last podcast, that this was written in 1908, but it's really lovely. It's obviously, sort of a children's book, but I still really loved it. I used to watch the programmes when I was a child. We had a series on the telly. Oh, but it's really sweet, and the character of Anne, she's really lovely. It's really touching as well. And what I love about reading old books is how relevant they are to today. And there is a part in here where, how did they word it? They said something about politicians and how, I think they're all deciding what do they want to be when they grow up. And she mentions that one of the boys wants to go into politics. And a lady says, he can't go into politics, he's too good. Politicians are all rascals. And I just thought that is so true, how we all feel at the moment. So isn't that funny? In 1908, that was a view then. But it's really lovely, and Anne's love of nature and being so amazed by the simple things in life. It's just really lovely. So it's right my cup of tea. So yeah, I would really recommend this book, and I think there are a series of Anne books. So I might have to check them out. And I did buy this from a charity shop, though. It's only £1, but it's in such good condition. It looks like it had never really been read. So that's what I've just finished. And then I've got two. Now, I don't normally read two books at the same time, but I think last time I mentioned I joined a book club through work. So we had 6 books that we all had to choose one that we wanted to read. And this is the book we've chosen, A Terrible Kindness. And this is based on a true event, which was when there was a landslide at a coal mine in Wales, in Aberfan, where a school was buried. So it's meant to be a really good book, loads of really good reviews, and it's a debut novel. So that's what I'm going to start reading for the book club, but they've given us a couple of months to get that read, which is fine. But what I'm also reading is this one. There's been so much chat about this on Instagram and podcasts as well. Lots of friends I've got have all read it. So I bought this book for my mum for Christmas, and she's read it and loved it and has forwarded it on to me. So this morning when I was drying my hair upside down, I was starting to read it, and I could have just sat there and carried on reading all day. It's lovely so far. So yeah, really looking forward to finding out what everyone is sort of saying, what an amazing book this is. So there are a couple of good books that I'm going to be enjoying over the next month. And the last thing I wanted to chat about was a couple of podcasts that I've really, really been enjoying. The first one is Kelly from Lay Family Yarn, and I said last time that I'd booked a place on the Wroe retreat held at Lay Family Yarn headquarters, and I follow Kelly on Instagram, but I just wasn't aware that she had a podcast. And so when I found that, I just have been watching loads of her videos. I started watching recent ones and then loved them so much I've gone right back to the beginning, and I'm working my way through. And I just felt like I wanted to get to know her a bit better via her podcast before going on her retreat in November. And what I found, or what I feel, is that she's really, really lovely person, but really open and honest about certain things. And one of the things that hit home to me was when she was talking about body image and making things for yourself, and not normally having joy in clothes, or not feeling nice in clothes. And that really resonated with me, and it's one of the reasons really why I really wanted to make my own clothes, like with dressmaking. but also with anything else I make with knitting and crochet, but especially with dressmaking. And I think I said last time how I've got a few jumpers that don't really fit me very well, and even though I'm proud that I've made things for myself, they don't necessarily make me feel, I want them to be better made and better fitted. But Kelly, it really, she's just really lovely, and I've really been enjoying her podcast. And she will often start her podcast with welcome friends, and she wants people to feel like they're just sitting around her kitchen table having a drink and knit and natter with her, and I love that kind of podcast. So I'm really enjoying them. I'm sure you're all aware of Kelly and probably watched them already, but if you don't, check Kelly out. She's got a really lovely podcast. And another one that I've been watching for quite a while, and I can't remember, I may have mentioned her before, but I really love this lady's podcast and vlogs, and her name is Helen from Mousy Makes. And this sounds so funny saying it, but I feel like if I lived where Helen lived, I would want to knock on her door and have a cup of tea and craft with her. She's so lovely. I really love watching her. She's a really gentle person. She's really kind and sweet, but really thoughtful in what she talks about. And often I'll look on my YouTube, like who I subscribe to, and a video will pop up right at the right time, just when I need it, because often she'll talk about how you're feeling. So it could be, I remember one time she did one that was titled "My Bullet Journal is Making Me Sad," and I don't keep a bullet journal, but I do like keeping lists, and I do like making plans. And not only does she sort of chat about how she feels, she has also really prepared and gone away and sort of looked things up, and she shares with you strategies and things and ways of making you feel better. And I really appreciate that, and it's really useful and helpful. And she also is a piano teacher, so within her podcast she'll be playing her piano in the background, and she loves nature and walks, and she loves baking, so there'll often be a little section where she's making something, and again, everything she makes just is really nostalgic for me, and it'll be things that remind me of my childhood, or puddings that we would have had at school in the 70s. And Helen, if you're watching, and Helen always leaves me lovely messages, and we do chat that way, but I absolutely love watching you and really appreciate your content. She is a maker of all sorts of crafts. She can turn her hand to anything, and I'm really in awe of that. Like recently she bought a diary for the new year, but it was just a plain covered diary, and she made a beautiful diary cover. And I'd love to do that. But that's what I mean. I feel like I'd love to be in her craft room and her teach me how to do things. So check out Helen. It's a really simple but lovely, beautiful podcast. I love it. And she does podcasts quite frequently. So that's probably about it for today. So it's only been 2 weeks since the last podcast, but I just thought I might try and come on a bit more frequently, and maybe just talk in a bit more detail about the things that I am making. And then you see a bit more progress, rather than sometimes when it's been a month, I sometimes have things that are finished and I might not have talked too much about. But I thought maybe if I get into the habit of doing it every couple of weeks on a day off from work, that would be quite nice for me just to chat. It's not always about all the content either, is it? So right, it is really hot. I feel like I'm really squinting. I'm going to go back and watch this, and I hope it's okay. But I hope you're all right, and enjoy this sunshine if you've got some. But see you soon. Bye.